start the last session of this year's Erlang workshop. So we get some news from the OTP. Program says 10. Well, he's standing, Andreas is that.
Exactly, yes. Andreas is my name. I have the pleasure to take Kenneth Levine's spot today. Famous news from the OTP team. I will see how much new I can present, especially for the people that have been at EUC this year, because it's only 3 months since then, and people familiar with Sweden's vacation schedule know how much has happened in this 3 months. But, well, let me see. It's basically 3 things I try to talk about, trying to relate it a little bit to what we heard earlier today, around one-time system, one-time characteristics, a little bit about testing, and a minor update on community and work with the community, and then in the end, the roadmap stuff that we will see has not changed that much since EUC, so I keep that for last. When it comes for one-time stuff, we have heard a lot today about scalability, distribution, many course, mega course, multi-course, whatever. And of course, this is the challenge we deal with. I mean, both in the open source community or in the outside Ericsson community, and in Ericsson itself. I mean, customers being embedded systems, base stations, being cloud systems, having at least 100 nodes or more, or the traditional servers, 1+1, 1+n, and all of them, of course, have a little bit different characteristics, requirements to be fulfilled by the same Erlang one-time systems. So here, of course, we are looking into performance scalability, memory management. It's basically our key focus right now for the virtual machine and the Erlang one-time system to work with this stuff. And this both long-term stuff, as we heard last earlier, the JIT compilation, where we have the active work together with Lars and Trey, and seeing, well, maybe in a year or a couple of years what could come. And then, of course, there's very short-term things like the trackable diffs that we are working on right now, or improvements to time and timers, like an alternative now implementation, and making timers more workable in scalable systems. That will be a sort of next step towards OTP 18. So it's all kinds in here. And also what we see in a lot of our customers' places is where we see the thing is going slow, but we can't really figure out how. And here is, of course, the headache we have. How can we improve tracing and profiling in order to make it possible in the first place to find the bottlenecks before you can start working on them? And I think what we mentioned here, but is distribution. I mean, something at EUC that was pointed out by Stu Bailey in his keynote, what he saw as the grand challenge for Erlang going forward and the scalability journey is to modernize distribution, so to say, or to improve distribution. I mean, there's different attempts, like in the release project, we have the SD Erlang, and there is other attempts, I mean, previously by Ulf Wieger, for example, and now certainly different projects are working on how can we find distribution and communication without the, well, all nodes communicate to all nodes. Overhead, reaching the 60 node limit or whatever we have, where it goes slower. So that is some of the work we are looking at right now. Another area that was talked about in several talks today, in the ProRes project, among others, and a load check that Thomas mentioned, is testing. That's another area where we are looking into actively right now. Among others, just recently we have started to utilize property-based testing for internal testing a little bit more. We use it for some products, but that could not be seen by the Erlang community outside because it's an Ericsson internal application where it's used. But now we have also started to use small property tests for protocols like FTP and SSH, where we started to use it. And it was used on the compiler, and a lot of things were found on the maths earlier, but with I think in the spring. And that, of course, made a few of our developers also very interested to continue finding this kind of balance using quick check in this particular case. But in addition to that, we are looking also in other types of testing, like we have started, since it's a requirement on some Ericsson applications, to do vulnerability testing before things go to market, meaning finding security holes. It's like the tool we are using that has, I don't know, only for TLS it has some 5 million test cases throwing crazy messages at you, which you would never think of yourself. So far, I think I found 2 bugs after 1 of 3 million test cases or something. But well, a bug is a bug, and especially if it's in the security area, we would like to tap it. And we are also using that in order to test, for example, diameter and a few other protocols. So that's what we're doing there. And in general, of course, we try to find a balance between adding new features and trying to improve our test coverage. And of course, in that, what's like to encourage our open source contributors to package their contributions with test cases. That's always very appreciated. And but
should be demanded.
well, it is demanded, but very often we are so keen on the contributions anyway, and take them in. But of course, we would also like to raise the quality in general. When it comes to community, it was announced, I think, at EUC that we try to employ a community manager, or rather, Erlang Solution has employed a community manager, but he's posted in our premises in Kista, sitting together with the Erlang OTP team, Bruce here, and he's working half-time as community manager for Solutions and half-time for Ericsson, mainly dealing with just the open source contributions. And he is also going to work, I guess, with Richard Carlson on a little bit supporting on the package manager requirement gathering for the Erlang industrial user group. So he's basically the spider connecting open source community, Erlang industrial user group, and then the Ericsson folks, basically. The license change thing seems to come up in every meeting, but as you might know, in a little bit bigger company with the legal department and all this stuff, it takes the time, but it's definitely not forgotten, and it has made some progress just at the start of the summer. So it's probably being a two-step approach, being a while where we have the EPL and the Apache public license in parallel for different parts of the system and the contributions, until we move over completely then to the APL 2.0. Another thing we want to do in very short term is a public issue tracker, basically replacing Erlang bugs, which is not a very good way of reporting bugs, and that is also something that Bruce is currently looking into different tools that we could and have in order to have better traceability and also better transparency, so that also people see, has somebody actually seen my bug? Because sometimes silence means agreement and people have implemented the fix, sometimes silence means, well, nobody has seen it. So So you can't trust the silence basically, and here we hope to improve that. And also what we would like to do, even though this is more something for the future, and but it may be something for you to think about and also come with proposals, is to put the network of trust in place, meaning extending the OTP team when it comes to accepting open source contributions, so that it's not only the OTP team saying yes or no, but that we try to build a network of people, the community and we trust, that can help and take responsibility for certain applications and reviewing patches for those applications.
You have Robert De Niro screening people.
Pardon?
You have Robert De Niro screening people for it.
Yeah. So that is something we would like to do, because I mean there have been in the past several contributions that took very long time. Nothing has happened, and of course sometimes it was tricky to take them in, but sometimes it was purely like, well, the small ones, even not so important ones, it's easy to take in. The big ones we are very interested in, well, they take time, and then they may always drop off the priority list. So even though we would like to have them, and everybody else speaks for them, so there, in this area in particular, we would like to make an improvement in the long run. And yes, then coming to the roadmap part, we have until now released 17.0 and 1 shortly after the EUC. .2 was pretty much an internal release, but mentioning it here since you see it anyway, at least tagged on the GitHub. There's a few people, as soon as a new tag pops up, we get some mail, oh, what's the new stuff in there? If there is no readme following with that one. But the next official one to be released is 17.3 in a couple of weeks. Really not so much new, as that there was a long Swedish summer vacation in between. It's mainly bug fixes, open source contributions. Well, for people that may use SNMP and Cora or over, there is a IPv4, IPv6 dual stack now, which that was what is actually the content of 17.2. And that's basically it. So the main thread is focusing as much as possible on bug fixes only. And then we foresee that we will have another release in December and probably one in the first quarter. It's not really decided when 18 is coming, but it's leaning towards more the second quarter right now. And the contents here is not really decided either. You know, there is probably some timer functionality improvements or changes coming in. They may come partly in 17.x, but that depends on how big the changes are. If they are too big to put them into a maintenance release, we will try to push them into the next main release. Performance, as I said in the very beginning, is the main driver basically, at least within Ericsson, what we are focusing on, but we are quite sure, especially after a few of the talks we were listening to today, there is a general interest in having improved performance and scalability. So I think at odds with the community here. Apart from that, it's probably some Unicode cleanup and extension of maps with variables as keys and or big maps, and dialyzer warning suppressions is another more concrete thing that will go into it. On the longer term, as mentioned before, distribution, heterogeneous systems mentioned by Kevin this morning, among others, how to address this with distribution, how to make it more scalable, what does it mean in terms of security, and so on and so forth. So this is far from being concrete. It's pretty much slow, but in that regard, I was very happy to follow and to see what's happening right now and what's happening in the release project and the cover phrase project in general, but also more, well, what shall I say, other research types like the data flow stuff and other things with distribution and what other people like, for example, Bachelor, are doing in this regard. We try to get inspiration and concrete ideas from all places we can. Other things, as mentioned, package manager is a thing that is called right from the community in particular. So there we, of course, will now see together with the Erlang Industrial User Group what we can do. In relation to that, will probably be build support, and with build support here, I mean there's different requirements also on, for example, you don't follow like GNU de facto standard for building, or don't you have Yocto recipes for building, and all kinds of requirements in this regard, where we will look into. And if you take package manager and build support together, we are also thinking about at least splitting up the OTP Git repository into, well, we don't know into what, but probably a core part and a peripheral part, but it's not clear whether this peripheral part will be a block or it will be like each application will be its own repository. There's different ways of doing this, but this would be completely undoable if we don't have a package and proper dependency management. Because then this thing falls apart and nobody knows which version is going to work together with other versions. And this is currently being held together at least by having those tagged OTP releases, because then you know this OTP release is your umbrella for a number of applications, and this set of applications is going to work together. Apart from that, documentation, the JIT compilation, as mentioned, and then we're looking into platform as a service is hot term, and cloud, of course, and then we are looking into providing a build pack and a build pack, for example, for Cloud Foundry, which also should be usable by in Heroku clouds as well, because they're to a certain degree compatible. So this is basically what we are doing right now, among others, on our island.
I think you skipped the file and IO server point there. What are you planning?
Both the file and IO servers and the fine-grained parallelism stuff are very fluffy parts right now. It's mainly improving performance on both parts. I mean, file handling and IO, I mean, is sometimes at least perceived as being a bottleneck, and therefore we want to look whether there is possibilities to do something there. And also fine-grained parallelism, well, it's not really defined what is meant here. It's a lot about memory management and addressing parts of the things that Kevin mentioned also in this first talk this morning, how to split up certain things, how to Thank you very much.